Good morning, UVU, and welcome to all faculty and staff who are joining us today for the third talk with Tuminez. We are speaking to you live from the home of the UVU Art Museum, which is Lakemount Manor, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. I want to begin today by thanking all of you as we near the end of the semester for everything that you are doing and have done to prepare our students for this ending of the semester finals week. I know it's getting cold, I know it's getting darker, it snowed earlier today, but I hope that your spirits are up and that everyone is feeling good. I also want to remind everyone that there is relief in sight because shortly we will have our break from the 24th of December until January 1. So we are all looking forward to that, myself included. I also want to announce that the next talk with Tuminez will be on January 24, and that's going to be my State of the University address. So the format may be a little bit different, but that will be an important juncture for me as that will be the end of 4 months of my presidency. So as noted, we are broadcasting from Lakemount Manor, and I have here with me today to tell us a little more about this beautiful, wonderful building that will lead to amazing things for us as a community and as a university. I have Dean Stephen Pullen from the School of the Arts and also Lisa Anderson, who heads our museum. So over to you. Tell us a little bit more about this building.
Well, President, we're just extremely honored that the Bastian family reached out to UVU and the School of the Arts when they wanted to turn this magnificent home into an art museum. It was a great honor and opportunity for us to create something really meaningful for the community and for UVU. And so we're very excited. It's a very collaborative project. It's a project that at its heart is meant to serve the community and the university, and also to honor a great woman of Utah Valley, Melanie Bastian, their mother. So we're just extremely excited, extremely thrilled as a School of the Arts for this magnificent opportunity. But the person who really knows all the ins and outs, the vision, and all of the exciting details of this is Lisa Anderson, our director. So why don't I turn it over to her?
Yes, thank you, President. We are so excited to be here, as the Dean said. Just like to echo what he just said about the family and their generosity. In terms of the museum, we're excited for this opportunity to grow and expand. We already have a really unique and wonderful collection. We have a great tradition of providing arts learning for our students and for the community, and we're excited to be able to expand upon that mission. And I think this setting will really be a great asset in reflecting UVU's overall mission and what we do to service our community. So I'm excited for that. Look for us to open in early spring of 2020. We will be doing a little bit of construction here. But when we open, we're going to have all new exhibitions and opportunities for local artists, our students, and our faculty to showcase their talents here. So we're very, very excited, to be able to present art and arts learning in this beautiful setting.
So the UVU Art Museum at Lakemount Manor is a house museum, and I think those of you who are with us today, you may know of such museums like the Isabella Stewart Gardner in Boston, the Frick Museum in New York City, the Jacques-Martin André in Paris, and these house museums are just amazing. Tell us a little bit about the size of this home and maybe some unique aspects to the architecture and just the home as it has been constructed.
Yeah, the home is constructed in a traditional European style. Much of the furnishings, from the wallpapers to the antiques, the things that you see here in the home, are all antiques from Europe. They were specifically selected to complement the home. The house is with a pool house included is about 40,000 square feet, so it's quite a large estate. It comprises an entire city block. And we will be utilizing all of that space in creating opportunities for our community to be part of this environment. So the house itself is unique in that it offers some things that a lot of house museums don't have. It has features like an indoor swimming pool.
Yes, with a big slide.
With a 3-story slide, which is a fantastic thing to have. We also have a beautiful setting for outdoor sculpture garden that we look forward to being able to produce. And so a lot of the things here in the house will be continuing to reside here. The family's generosity extends to them loaning and donating many of the things that we have in this home now. And that will be incorporated into this beautiful house setting and in the great tradition of the homes that you've talked about. We'll be able to provide a house setting that also complements the art museum and its mission.
That's great. So maybe Dean Pullen, over back to you, just as a closing remark. Talk to us a little bit about art. Why is art, places like this, the School of the Performing Arts, why is art so important to higher education and to the lives of our students, our staff, and faculty?
Well, President, that's a wonderful question, one that would take many, many hours to fully answer.
1 minute.
But, Pablo Picasso said, art washes the dust of daily life from the human soul. And, of course, it's far more than that, but the expression, the creativity, the emotion that goes into creating art and that goes into appreciating art, whether it's fine art or performing arts, there's such a wealth of opportunity to feed the human soul and to allow for expression and creativity. And this house, this museum, is going to be such an amazing asset for UVU and for Utah Valley for those reasons, not only because it's a place that will be able to consume art, but also a place to create, to learn about art. And not just for UVU students, although this will be a magnificent asset for our students and for our faculty, but for the entire community.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And one of my big dreams is to have a major exhibition of Russian Impressionist art in this building. So fingers crossed. I want to say also that you've mentioned the Bastian family. I want to add to that and add my gratitude to them, the vision of her sons and their generosity, as well as their father in giving us this space. And since this is a time of giving, this is a time of gratitude, it's a special season when we think about the great things that we have in our lives. I want to take a moment to thank not only the Bastian family, but all of our donors. UVU exists and improves and progresses because of the support that we receive from donors from here in our service area and farther afield. And so I want to thank everybody who has given to us. And I always say that even for students and staff, we give $10. It's that spirit of giving, that we are all in this together. This is a common enterprise that we are building. So donors, small, medium, large, and those who haven't given yet but are thinking about it, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much, Dean Pullen, and thank you so much, Lisa. Talking about art and music, we have a special treat here today. Since it is the holiday season, I would like to introduce UVU's premier all-male a cappella group, Voice Line. Take it away.
O come Emmanuel, come Jehovah, O come Emmanuel. O come Emmanuel, come Elohim, O come Emmanuel.
O come Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lowly exile until the Son of God.
Come Emmanuel, come Jehovah, O come Emmanuel.
O come thou Lord of might, into thy tribes on Sinai's Satan's tyranny, from depths of hell thy people save, and give them victory o'er the grave. Overcome the wisdom from on high, and over all things far and nigh, to us the path of knowledge show, and cause us in her ways to go.
Welcome, Emmanuel.
Can I clap? Thank you so much, Voiceline. And let me tell you who Voiceline is. We have Steve Copeland, who's a senior in computer science. We have Phil Childs, who's a sophomore in behavioral science. Scott Schreiner, a senior in marketing. Brian Shepard, a freshman in economics. Talmage Sanders, a freshman in the School of the Arts, music. Tori McAllister, who's not a UVU student. And Jake Arnold, who's a freshman in finance. I like reading their backgrounds and what they're studying because I think it indicates to us again, the diversity on campus. And I enjoy nothing more than my interactions with our students, seeing and celebrating their academic, their musical, their athletic, and other successes. So thank you so much for bringing a wonderful festive spirit here. Thank you for bringing your talents, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you. We will now segue into academic guests. I'm here, I'm a little bit intimidated. I have 3 professors here, and I'm glad I'm the one asking the questions and not being asked questions. So we have 3 professors today who've joined us. Professor Laurel Bradshaw, Associate Professor of Nursing. Professor Trevor Warburton, who is Assistant Professor of Secondary Education. And this is really nice because I had my listening tour yesterday and spent 2 hours with the College of Education, and I was really just amazed and inspired by the success there with student completion and how our reputation in education is very solid. And then I have Professor Soumya Selvararajan. She's Professor of Geomatics. I can't define what that is, but we have in common some background with National University of Singapore in our careers. So let me just maybe begin by having each professor say something about themselves and why they're here at UVU. We'll start with you, Laurel.
Well, my name is Laurel Bradshaw, and I teach in the nursing department at UVU. I teach in the associate, the bachelor's, and the master's programs.
Yeah.
And I guess my background before teaching was working as a registered nurse in an emergency department. So.
And why did you come to UVU?
I came to UVU because I love nursing, but I think my favorite part of nursing was the education. Every encounter with every patient was an opportunity to educate my patients, and I thought, I can probably do some good and go become a nursing instructor.
That's wonderful. And of course, the profession is very much in demand as well.
Yes.
I come from the Philippines where, half the population is in nursing, and then they all actually go abroad to get jobs abroad. Trevor, tell us a little more besides what I already mentioned.
Yeah, so I was a high school math teacher for a number of years. I worked primarily with English language learners, teaching them math, and loved working with them and learned so much from them. And one of the things that I learned was that the challenges that they face in schools is not just about learning English, it's not just about learning math, it's a lot of the structure of the school system and a number of different things. And I really felt like I could have a bigger influence if I could work with teachers before they enter the field to better prepare them than I had been prepared to teach these students. And so I am so happy and grateful for the opportunity to do that here at UVU. I find the thing that really called my attention about UVU was the focus on the students and the focus on teaching. and the responsiveness of the university to what is best for the students.
Thank you, and I know you're fairly new, 2 years,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So thank you so much for embracing that mission of teaching. And again, as you say, that multiplier effect of preparing our students to be better teachers, because that has just so much multiplier effect down the road when they go into their careers. Soumya, tell us a little more about yourself and why you're at UVU.
So my name is Soumya. I'm an associate professor in the geomatics program. Let me define geomatics very quickly. Geomatics, if you break the word, geo means earth, matics means measurement. So anytime you're working with spatial data, measuring them with high precision, we call them geomatics. We are inside the engineering design technology department. This is my 7th year at UVU. Why I came here? Teaching. The only reason when I came down for the interview, little I had an effect on how much teaching was so important here. And as I grew up, the only thing I wanted to do was become a teacher. And I came in, I saw open enrollment and the teaching focus here in this institution. I said, what more can I ask for? So here I am. Thank you.
That's wonderful. And 7 years is also a nice chunk of time where you probably have you have a lot more institutional memory than I do. We say openly to the world that our aspiration is to be T1, supported by our engaged research and so on. What does that really mean? How do we become that, our aspiration, which is T1, where we can really say that when we benchmark ourselves to other institutions, we can truly say we are hitting that mark. I know we already made great progress, and I love the passion of our professors, like yourselves as I've listened to you just now. But what are your other insights on, what does it really mean to be a T1? And I will start with you, Trevor, this time.
So I think for me and in my teaching, it's really having that focus on the students and the humanity that they have. I think it's easy as professors to think of them as students only who kind of disappear and reappear when they enter our classroom. And so I try to spend a lot of time really getting to know my students, letting them get to know me, and establishing relationships of trust with them so that we can relate as people first and as student and professor second.
Yeah, I have actually used a phrase from Avatar, the movie, I see you. I like the phrase, and I think you kind of just talked about that, yes. Seeing the whole person. And sorry, before I go to Soumya and Laurel, the most recent Strata Gallup poll, I was just rereading it 15 minutes ago. 64% of university graduates who said that they've had mentors when they were at university, 64% of them said that that mentor was a professor. So that's how important the professors are. And a shout out to the arts and humanities, because 43% of those mentors were teaching in the arts and humanities. And a little bit of the not so good insight from the poll is that minorities had a less positive experience of being mentored by a professor. So I just want to throw that out, aligned with what you just said. Maybe we'll go to you, Soumya, at T1. What does it mean?
It comes, I think, T1 is a very unheard term right now. And if UVU wants to reach out to that height, that is what we have to do. Drawing a contrast between the R1 and the T1, faculty, when they get into an R1 institution, they are trained how to write grants, how to go behind research. But at T1, we have to prepare our instructors, our lecturers, our professors who want to aspire to be great teachers, how to teach. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the missing link at most institutions, and UVU has a great potential. Office of Teaching and Learning has become so huge at UVU because most of the teachers, just like me, came as a fresh grad out of a PhD program, wanted to teach, had no idea how to do it. I had to run to the Office of Teaching and Learning. They were able to prepare me. It was that overnight, that transformation did not happen for almost 3 to 4 years. I struggled, I challenged, but again, here I stand, and I'm very proud that I can now aspire to be called a good teacher. Mm-hmm. Using engaged learning, research is not my focus, teaching is my focus. So.
Okay. Laurel?
Well, it's my understanding that a T1 institution is a top-ranked institution with a focus or an emphasis on teaching. And I believe UVU is a top-ranked institution focused on teaching, and we have great academic programs and great students and faculty and staff that want their students to succeed and are willing to help their students succeed. So I think it's a great goal to aspire to.
Okay. and as you said, you know, we are definitely, because we make it explicit, it does inform the way we do things. Now pivot for a little bit, engaged learning, teaching, and research. How do you use research, whether that's your own research or the research that's already out there, to inform the way you teach and to teach more effectively? Who would like to start with that?
I'll go with that.
Okay, Soumya.
So I come from the School of Engineering and Technology. That means everything is changing so fast, even
Yes.
within a year. How do we keep up? We do a lot of research. When I call research, I'm not hunting again for grants. It's engaged learning in the classroom. So we look out for professional developments that we have to go and catch up with the new technology. How can we bring engaged learning into the classroom? So I attend conferences, present at conferences, write a manuscript, but also bring that into the curriculum.
Yeah.
And that is continuous learning, according to me. That is what I call by engaged learning.
Okay. Trevor?
I think, I guess in the School of Ed, we have a bit of an advantage here because our research is about teaching.
Yes.
And so
It's directly applicable.
Yeah, it's directly applicable. And so I am constantly looking for new things, ways that I can improve my teaching. I get feedback from my students regularly, but I also read the research and I share that with them. And I say, I just read this. I want to try it out and let me know how it works or doesn't for you, and let's see how it goes. And I do that both to show them good teaching practices, to model what it means to be as a teacher to continually learn and improve, and to share that current research
show
with
them
them.
the literature as well.
Yes.
You know, how is the
Yes.
field evolving? I think it's very important. I mean, in tech in particular. When I was at Microsoft, one of my favorite quotes from the CEO was, Satya Nadella was, technology has no respect for tradition. And so you always have to be renewing that knowledge. How about in nursing, Laura?
I think all courses here at UVU should be taught using the latest research. And in the Department of Nursing, almost all of the professors are involved in research of some sort. And we use our students, we use people in the community from the hospital, and we present our research around the country. And at these conferences, we learn more, you know.
And then the students are participating, so they're actually
Absolutely.
exposed to a lot more
Yes.
than even, I think, some of the Ivy Leagues, where unless you're really a researcher, you know, unless you seek it out, sometimes you could have lectures where the engagement is not as strong. So talk about the student experience. Just following up on that, the student experience, and you say you involve students in the research that professors are doing. What are some of your observations or insights from that? Just observing the students, what does it do for them?
Well, with my students, we do a whole lot of community-based learning. And so we go out into the communities and we participate in their health fairs. And we participate in teaching mini classes at STEM conferences and emergency preparedness conferences. And we run first aid stations at, we've done corn bellies, and we've done races and Special Olympics and things like that. And kind of helps us to bond as a class. And we just use these as research opportunities for the students to get out there and practice their skills in real time on real people and things like
collect data
yeah,
as
and
well.
we collect data. And not
yeah.
only do the students participate in our research, but they participate in researchers. You know, they
Yeah.
join us
Yeah.
in presenting the research and things like that.
Yeah, so they have the chance to articulate as young researchers what they've learned, present it, take questions, and have that kind of interaction.
Yes.
You just mentioned first aid, and I'm thinking you should go to all the wrestling matches. My son just started wrestling, and I was in one of Salem Hills High School, and I've never seen so many bodies and so many ice packs and some tears on the side. Wrestling is a lot of first aid maybe needed there, but that's wonderful. So maybe just to wrap up, What does it mean to you to be a mentor teacher? Because I've just mentioned that, 64% of the students who said they've been mentored, it was a professor. And you already talked a little bit about that, Trevor, seeing the whole person. Let's elaborate on that as a final question. Elaborate on that, mentor dash teacher. What does that mean to you? And
Okay.
maybe Trevor can start with that.
In secondary education, we have to share our students, which is kind of hard for us because we really enjoy working with them, but we also share them with the different content departments that they're coming from. And so one of the things that I try to do is to really establish that relationship early on in the semester is I schedule time with every student to meet with them one-on-one. I have them answer some questions about themselves as well to get to know each other quickly. And then when we meet one-on-one, we talk about the different challenges they have, the strengths they have, and how they can use those strengths and how I can support them to be successful in the class and to be successful teachers. And then we continue that throughout the semester, both in the class and if students need to and want to outside of class as well, through office hours and other things. And just really making sure that they have a clear connection between what we're doing and what they want to do and the kind of teacher that they want to become.
Yeah, so it's really very deliberate on your part
Yes.
by design, and then your process is there to then do that systematically. Thank you.
Yes.
Somya.
So to me, mentorship is being their friend, being that somebody who's elder enough to guide them in the right way through their career. Most of our students come here so that they can find a good job in the industry. So the way I would like to do it, or I've been doing it, is our geomatics program, for example, we have a club. It's a student-run club, it's run by students, but I kind of be their advisor for the whole club. So they come and meet with me and decide who's going to be the speaker for the month. Hey, how can we order food for the students or people who come for the meeting? They do T-shirts. They are also asking me, I'm applying for this job, will you be my, my recommender? If I'm doing this, am I doing it the right way? They're always knocking on our doors, asking questions. So they're never hesitant to see, oh, she's a teacher. I'm going to be hesitant to reach her, but she's my friend, right?
An advisor.
An advisor. I can ask her anything about school, and she's there to help me. So that's kind of what I view as mentor, and I try to do my best.
And I like the club idea as well, because I think nothing is more powerful than the peer group coming together for their own learning and their joint goals that they want to achieve.
And they establish so many connections, contacts. They always tell me, oh, it's a little more to do outside school hours, but we really enjoy what we've been doing there. So,
That's great to hear. Laurel, you have the last word.
Traditional nursing education emphasizes that we teach our students nursing skills and that we teach them this professional knowledge. And while that's very important, I have a third area that I like to teach with my students, and this can go along with mentoring, in that I like to teach them to be caring and compassionate caregivers. And I do this by teaching them, incorporating within my lectures things like being present and therapeutic touch and listening and not judging and looking for the good in their patients and things like that. I think I can be an example to my students, and help them. And they're always able to come to me for anything, any needs they need. They come to me for letters of recommendation, and I'm also the advisor over the nursing club, and we do all sorts of things to help mentor our students.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, the profession is tough and challenging. And bringing that element of being present and that compassion is actually, to me, the best of caregiving. And so that's really wonderful to hear. This has been really inspiring, informative and inspiring. And as I've listened to you, I sort of got a little bit of the characteristics of your departments and your field. Second, some different approaches as well as overlapping approaches to the teaching mission. And I love it. Thank you so much. And I hope that our faculty and staff who are listening as well, that you've learned from this. And I really, I'm always fired up when I hear these things because, this is kind of unscripted and you're talking, and as I listen to you, it brings home the reality of, where I am, what is this community, what are we doing, how are we each bringing the very best of our ideas and our competencies and our passion and our kindness to to the things that we do. So thank you so much. Even though you didn't sing, I will clap for you. So thank you to the faculty. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We will just pivot very quickly here with a student guest. I have Monique Barr, who is both, have you graduated already, Monique?
I took my final yesterday.
I should also clap for you. So Monique took her final yesterday. And Monique is a very, very interesting story. So let me just ask you to introduce yourself. And when I meet our students, and I think in the last 2 weeks, I've had lunch with about 50 students. Monique was in fact at one of these lunches, and I thought it would be interesting for our community to hear your story. And I'm always very proud of our Wolverines who are gritty and hardworking, and I love hearing the story. So tell us a little bit about your journey to UVU and at UVU.
Okay. So about 30 years ago, I received an associate's degree, and I was always frustrated and regretted not finishing my bachelor's degree. So summer 2017, I came here to Utah County, started at UVU. I've gone to school for the last 5 straight semesters, and like I said, just finished yesterday, and so now here I am.
It must feel really good to take that final. But you've also raised a family, and I know part of your story is that the family has moved out here for school.
Right.
And so talk a little bit about that.
So we were in California. All 3 of my boys were accepted to school here in Utah. So they were living here. My husband and I were still in California. Not having received our degrees, we had been underemployed for...
Both you and your husband?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I was at a job that I didn't really like, but couldn't manage to get a job that I would like because of my lack of education. So my husband and I together said, let's quit our jobs, let's go back, be by the boys in Utah. And
we'll beat our own
school.
children. We're going to graduate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're all here. 2 of my sons have already graduated, and 1 will start at UVU in January.
That's wonderful. Were you ever nervous about that big decision? Because you're in the employment world, and then you're going to say, well, my spouse and I will quit. It's a big decision. Did you ever question that?
So as we were trying to decide if this was the right thing to do, I was listening to a podcast, and the person on the podcast said, sometimes you have to step into the darkness and anticipate that the light will move. And so we thought, we're just going to take that first step, and as we keep going, hopefully the light will shine on what's next.
That's a wonderful way to put it. And it could be darkness. It's risk, actually. More than anything, it's risk. It's the unknown and getting out of your comfort zone. What has helped you to succeed at UVU?
So, as I've mentioned to you before, I have this voice tremor. And so my plan was to come and sit in the back of the classroom and not talk to anybody. And then I got on campus and I kept hearing this, engage learning. And all of a sudden I realized, okay, if I'm going to be successful at this school, I'm going to have to engage, and I'm going to have to use this voice and speak to people. But I was talking to a professor the other day, and she said that it really speaks highly of the students at UVU. She said that in other schools she's worked at, that the professors really have to work hard to have the traditional students include the non-traditional students. And she said she doesn't find that here, that the students are very kind, very inclusive, and that's been my experience. Being a non-traditional student, having this voice tremor, it was like nobody even noticed. They just included me, and helped me to be successful.
That's great. I mean, carry on. You know, we are mainly, I think, non-traditional. We have, you know, 77% of our students work, so that in itself, that fact says something about us. I understand you also work for us, so how did that happen where, you know, you're a student, and what experiences were you gaining that then helped you segue into the job world here at UVU?
So the job I was working before I came to school, I was a teacher's assistant. And after my boys left home, I wanted to go from working part-time to full-time. And I tried to get a job in the school office, in the front office. And I couldn't get a job. And that's why I thought maybe a degree would help. So when I came to campus, I tried to find an internship in one of the offices, and I was hired at the Women's Success Center. And I interned there hoping that it would give me office experience, not realizing that ultimately they would hire me full-time. And so now I have this dream office job that I've always wanted in one of the best offices on campus.
Bravo, Women's Success Center. But I'm sure you earned that with the quality of your work. And so maybe as a last question, sometimes I have non-traditional students, older students, you know, come up to me. This has happened at least twice, where they feel very apologetic, somewhat sheepish because, you know, they lost those years and they apologize. And I always say to them, you know, never apologize. Don't begin with that. Because you should be really proud that you have, again, you know, taken up your education where you left it off last time. So what would you say to our non-traditional students who, you know, maybe, you know, they're navigating, I don't want to call it darkness, but navigating, you know, new scenarios and new challenges in what is an inclusive university, but still it's not always easy. What would you say to them to encourage them?
So I always say ask questions. Like I said, I work at the Women's Success Center. Anybody can come in and ask us a question. If we can't help them, we'll point them to the resources either on campus or in the community that can help them. And I found that that's true all over UVU, that if you're willing to speak up and ask a question, there's always somebody there who's going to help you find that answer.
And that's a really good thing, because asking questions is actually a life skill. The worst thing is when you keep your concerns and you don't ask, and then so you don't find out what help you can get and what help is available. So Monique, we celebrate you. I think you represent the very best of who UVU students are and what it means to be a Wolverine. So thank you so much, and if you want to do your master's, you know, you can do that too. Thank you so much, Monique Barr. I also want to mention that another student success we want to celebrate, and this is, I know this student personally, he's one of our presidential interns, Nate Roundy. He's a major in political science with a minor, and I want to get this right, with a double minor in philosophy and humanities. So Nate actually lived in Singapore. That's one of the little bits of information I learned about him. But Nate just got accepted into the graduate program at Cambridge University for International Relations and Politics. So Cambridge University, watch out, they've got a Wolverine coming your way. Congratulations to Nate Roundy. And thank you to all of his mentors and all of his teachers. These are the kinds of successes that I think we could all feel very proud of. I have some university updates to share with all of you. We recently celebrated the 10th anniversary of our Capitol Reef field station. And I understand that we have about 500 students who go to Capitol Reef field station every year as part of their engaged learning experiences and I guess exercises. So I would like to encourage more of our community to please use Capitol Reef. We have a new classroom building there now, and I spent the night there. It was very inspiring. We're one of only 9 universities in the country that run a field station in one of the national parks. So the evening that I spent there, and there was our big telescope, and I got to see Saturn, the Andromeda Galaxy, and more stars in the sky than I've ever seen in my life. So thank you to our faculty, our administrators, and our students who were there. It was really a wonderful celebration. I also would like to share with you that through a Perkins loan and a generous donation from the Provo Fire Department, we are now the proud owners of 2 additional fire trucks. One brand new, another one used. These types of equipment are very expensive, and so it is wonderful for us to have this, and this will be put to good use by our Firefighter Recruit Candidate Academy. So red for fire trucks. Our We Care Center recently received an $800,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Education. And related to the success of our students, this We Care Center is really critical, and I am very pleased that with this grant we'll be able to serve more students and more staff who need childcare on campus. Last Friday night, I think it was Thursday, Friday night, I attended our student graphic design show out in Highland. And I think those of you who are my Facebook friends, you may have seen that. Again, really wonderful opportunity to see the passion of our students in graphic design and see what they'd put together in very, very interesting ways, making me see things in a new light. I had to peel my son away from one of the projects, which was sort of like a Minecraft screen, and he could be behind it, and he would appear on the other side, pixelated in squares. And he literally, I think, spent the entire hour there the whole time we were visiting the display. Also, our Wind Symphony concert, Inclusion, recently very, very successful, very well attended. I was very pleased to be part of that. I want to thank Dr. Thomas Keck and our students. I was incredibly honored and humbled to listen to the Tuminez fanfare. I'd never had anything written for me like that, so thank you so much for that. That was a lot of fun. My 16-year-old son taped the whole thing, and I think I gained mommy points that evening because my sons thought, oh, this is very special. There's a musical number here called the Tuminez fanfare. Other announcements that show our academic strength and leadership. Our UVU cybersecurity team earned first place at the National Information Assurance Training and Education Center's, this is very long, Invitational Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition. And this took place at Idaho State University. I think cybersecurity is truly one of our strengths. It makes us stand out. It is an area that will become more and more important as technology advances, but at the same time, what I call the dark side of technology, the underworld of criminals and cyber criminals and hackers, and even state-to-state, offensive cyber capabilities. So this is really a very strong team. Congratulations to them. I also want to announce that a team of UVU students placed first in the United States and tied for 4th place in the world at a global social innovation competition that was conducted at Oxford University. This is no small feat. They defeated 470 other teams from other colleges and universities from across the globe. And the judges, I remember from reading about this earlier, that they were from Ashoka Foundation, which I know quite well, out in Asia, the Skoll Foundation. These are the top names in social innovation. So I love that our students have put research together, doing good, and come up with something like this, and have been recognized on the global stage. Our Saudi Student Union was also recently awarded 2nd place among 300 Saudi student clubs in the country at the annual Saudi Arabia Cultural Mission event in Washington, D.C. And I want to congratulate our professors. I apologize because this other news came so just really, an hour before I came here today. We have a piece of research done by our faculty member in the Woodbury School of Business that shows the benefits of renting versus giving something outright whether that's technology or other things you're giving, that it has actually a lot more benefits and advantages. So I encourage you to look that up. And our College of Health and Public Services Dean, David McIntyre, will have an article published in the Journal of Emergency Management this spring. Professor Robert Carney in English Literature was a guest of KRCL's Radioactive Community Affairs program, where he read his poetry. So I just love poetry and then emergency management all in one go. That's UVU. We also have some celebrations in student athletics. Our men's basketball team maintains an 18-game winning streak on our home court. And I was with the team Thursday last week in Tucson, Arizona. It was extremely exciting at halftime. We were 12 points ahead. We lost the game, but it was an amazing game. And I had a halftime meeting with the president of University of Arizona, and he was very curious about UVU, who are we and what are we all about? So that was a great moment for me to introduce to President Robbins who we are. He came from Stanford University, is a cardiothoracic surgeon, and became president of University of Arizona 15 months ago. Our volleyball team also made their first ever postseason tournament appearance in the National Invitational Volleyball Championship. This is a first for us. And I was at women's basketball, UVU versus BYU, where you literally had thousands, I think, of third and fourth graders there. It was the most amazing thing to watch. When we think spirit and Wolverine pride, we can learn from third and fourth graders. They were an amazing audience. There will be announcements later on. I don't really want to talk about this in detail, but some changes in tuition structure, and I think I will do that later in the new semester when we have more information. And I would like to take a moment now to thank my Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Jeff Olson, whom all of you know. Jeff has announced his retirement. He's been with us 5 years. And I hope that you've seen my email where I've detailed Jeff's many contributions to our university. So I want to thank Jeff and really wish him the best. And I'm so grateful that I still have him for the next few months as we look for a new provost and vice dean of academic affairs for UVU. This is really an amazing time in terms of how we build our next phase, and we are only able to build because of those people who came before us and have given the best of their time, talent, and energy. And Dr. Jeff Olson is one of those people, so I want to thank him and acknowledge him. We will, before we go into question and answer, let me just note that there were some questions at the last talk with Tuminez about benefits. Particularly relating to part-time dependents, and part-time employees. And the benefits team under the leadership of Linda Macon is currently reviewing our benefits, including our contract with UMR as a UVU's benefits provider, and we'll be discussing options before the end of this year. If you have really any urgent and immediate questions, please reach out to Linda Macon and her team, and they can update you on some of the ongoing discussions, again, because it's premature to announce some things, but please rest assured that we are looking into this, the benefits, and we will have announcements in the next, I would say, 2 to 3 months. I think we have questions that have come in already, Justin, and could I ask for tissue, sorry, from somebody?
Yes.
President, this is the cold season, I'm sorry.
And actually, what most people don't understand is that this room that we're in is
very cold.
62 degrees. It's freezing in here.
We're not using this building yet, that's why.
You haven't chatted your teeth once,
yeah.
I'm impressed. Trevor Morris asked a question as it relates to our faculty and the teaching emphasis that you discussed today. Given the conversation, how will we recognize and reward faculty who engage in the scholarship of teaching and learning?
In the scholarship of teaching and learning, so doing research. I hope that we are already recognizing such scholarship. I recently had a very interesting conversation with Sculpt, And I will not butcher the acronym, but it is our, sorry, the creative undergraduate learning, anyway, learning and teaching. So, and we had some questions there about measurement. So not just scholarship, but those who mentor, teach, for example, and have engaged research where it takes a lot of time, it's very time intensive, but some of the measurements, they're not recognized, perhaps some of the things they're doing. So this is for me, bear with me because I'm trying to learn myself how we measure, what is under our control, how do we reward, when we look at, review, tenure, and promotion, are we consistent across the board? Are we messaging? Do our faculty have, great clarity on what they're supposed to do? Are there measurements at the system level that maybe we don't control? This may not be, this may not be the clearest answer, but I want you to know that, I think about this a lot. I'm trying to educate myself. And then really my goal is that we have open conversations about what are some of the measurements that are our control and that they are credible and they're the right things to measure. And then how do we reward if we say that X is really important? Do we measure properly? Do we articulate our expectations? Do we then have the accountability to follow through and then, and reward the things that we really do say that we value? So I hope that answers, if only in part, the question that was raised.
Okay, thank you, President. As you think about, let's see, I'm sorry. From your high-tech background, what are a few ways that you can see we can improve our online teaching? And then also, how does online teaching fit into our effort to become a T1 university?
Yes, so I think that online, I would say 10 years ago, I was having this discussion with my colleagues at National University of Singapore, and we were parodying online and mocking it. And we probably were not, ahead of the curve at the time. When I mentioned my halftime basketball conversation last Thursday with the president of University of Arizona, he mentioned to me, and I have to check this number, that my counterpart at ASU, Arizona State University, Michael Crow, that that the university had earned a couple $100 million from the online delivery of courses because they're doing it around the world, and it actually helps a lot in the R1 or T1, whatever the other aspirations are. So I think that online is here to stay. We do know that in the early part of it, a lot of it was really boring, people don't complete, but there are so many different models now. And I hope that we can have a conversation here that's productive about how we do this better. If we tell ourselves preliminarily that there is an online market, and there is, how do we make that compelling and effective, where we help our students learn and complete, and then we leverage our professors and their expertise as the curators of learning and discussion and debate, where we, what are the hybrids that we will develop. And then that links to our digital transformation. We are putting together a task force for digital transformation, because at the end of the day, you need a very powerful digital platform that can scale, that is secure, that you could dial up or dial down as you need it. But I think we can agree, or we can at least accept the statement that online education is here to stay. And then we have to ask ourselves, what is our market for that? What do we do best? What can we do better? And don't let others lead where we can lead. And I think, again, these are, this is just the fourth week of my third month of this presidency, but I do think about this a lot. And I always say that we want to be ahead of our own disruption rather than have the disruption foisted on us, and then we have less control. But I hope that we can get excited. And again, the goal is always student success, effective learning, using our resources properly, whether that's technology and the face-to-face that can go with what we offer online.
Thank you, President. You appropriately honored Jeff Olson as our Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs. Currently, you're advertising for a provost, vice president of Academic Affairs. Are you considering a more typical provost model for our campus?
Yes, thank you for that question. And you know, I've been asked, what do I mean? I put that word provost, and sometimes when you put a new word, it does make people pay attention. And then the questions come up. I hope that no one, first of all, that we don't feel nervous at all about the word provost. And I don't know what is typical. You know, I actually did some research with the help of my presidential intern, both in the USHE system and then among our peer institutions. And it is quite common to have that title of provost, vice president of academic affairs in one person. And we know that this combines different roles, you know, partly visionary, the academic vision, the academic values, academic delivery, and it's both visionary as well as operational. And my idea is not that there is, you know, this traditional role of a provost. I have told my own vice presidents that they continue reporting to me, the direct reports to me continue, but that, you know, there'll be dotted line to the provost. But what I'm really interested is having, you know, another pair of eyes that is really my partner in seeing the, you know, the whole view of the university, and that involves both vision as well as operations, and having that person really run academic affairs that will not go away. And I understand that our academic affairs only is such a big, heavy portfolio. So we are not, by having a provost, vice president of academic affairs in one person, we are doing something that is really quite common out there. This is something that I'm trying for myself as president of the university, maybe pivoting that role a little bit, and my concern right now is that we really get candidates to apply, and so I want to ask staff and faculty to please spread the word to your own networks, your own contacts, your own colleagues, you know, to say that this position is open at UVU, and you know who we are, you know what our aspirations and dreams are, and encourage people to apply.
Excellent, President. I have three sort of rapid-fire questions.
Okay.
One is, besides a fire truck, which you've already received for Christmas,
what else do I want?
What else would you like? What are your hobbies? And, and the last one, yes, among all the athletic events you've been to, what's your favorite one? They want you to pick a favorite.
I'll start with my favorite one. It is, I forget who we were playing, women's volleyball, and we were, 12 points behind, and it was already the fourth quarter, and I was looking at my watch. I was feeling kind of discouraged. I was rah earlier with the pom-poms, and I just thought, this is so bad. I'm gonna go home now. And my husband calls me, and I said, honey, this is not going our way, and I'm gonna go home. And in the course of 5 minutes, we recovered, and then not only did we recover, we won. So we tied it, and then we won. And I will remember that because that was probably a big challenge to my blood pressure, and I kind of had half a voice by the time I left. And I liked it so much because volleyball is a tough sport, and I love the recovery. So what appeals to me is not those games where we're 50 points ahead. Those kind of get a little boring for me. But what I love is when from behind we recover and catch up. I think if I've learned one lesson in my life is that no matter how down I feel or bloodied I feel, I will get up the next day, and there is beauty in, even if I didn't win or got what I wanted, there's beauty in the getting up and saying I will try again. So that's the athletics question. And then my hobbies, I run, I used to do martial arts a lot, less so now, and I read a lot. So my bedside always has, I think on average, 12 to 20 books, and I'm always kind of reading them all at the same time. And they're very, very diverse. I have one of our faculty books, Scott Abbott and Barbed Wire and Lynn Richardson co-authored, and I think I'm now past page 5. And I'm reading a lot of books now on on administration in higher education. I think those are all important for me to read. And believe it or not, I am rereading Anne of Avonlea because this summer I watched the series, and it's sometimes just at night I need to really get my brain waves to a more relaxed level. So I read a lot. I just discovered Amazon.com because in Asia it really wasn't a big thing. And this is really dangerous for me, so this might be a new evolving hobby, Amazon.com. And then the first question, which I've now forgotten.
What do you want for Christmas?
Oh yeah, we got fire trucks. For Christmas, I would like a $500 million endowment for Utah Valley University. Our endowment is not where it should be. Public institutions out there are many that have $1 billion+ endowments. And when I think about what I'm most concerned about, I am most concerned about our ability to continue to fund what we do and to continue to fund and resource our growth. So if Santa could just bring me a bag with $500 million newly minted dollars, I'm really happy. The serious side to that is I think we all need to think about the resources that we all can bring to this university. Fundraising is a big thing. We do have so much to be proud of and worthy of support. And I like to say that we appreciate all gifts, small and large. At the same time, when we think about, that next $100 million donation that Harvard doesn't need, that MIT doesn't need, that Stanford doesn't need, but UVU really needs. We need to find the person who will have that vision to say you can change the trajectory of a university with an enrollment of 40,000 now, and that will reverberate for ages, that kind of endowment. So I'm thinking about that, and I think we are reaching the end of our talk with Tuminez. So thank you to the video service team for, I know this is a lot of work. We will try to get technology where this will become easier and easier, but thank you so much, and thank you to all who participated. I wish you a wonderful holiday season and a little more sleep. And just very, very quick announcement. So January 24 will be the State of the University address. That is the version of Talk with Tuminez in January. March 27, our whole week of dreams is also my inauguration, March 27. And again, that is a version of Talk with Tuminez. And then April 22, the PBA allocations. Again, that will be Talk with Tuminez. I appreciate your participation. This is only meaningful and worth doing with your participation. So thank you so much, because I know we are all busy. Thank you for all you do. I am happy and I am grateful to be here at UVU. I don't want to be any place else, even though, sun would be good right now. A beach might be nice right now. Thank you so much. Happy holidays and happy end of the semester.